Hi, welcome back. In the previous episode, I talked about the carnivore diet and how it put my eczema into remission. Today I talk a bit more about the eczema conditions here. But first of all, let's maybe we need to ask ourselves, what is the cause of eczema? If you look into GPT chat or Mr. Google, or even ask your doctor or even your dermatologist or skin doctor, what is the causes? They may give you a long list of like, oh, maybe it's genetic, maybe it's some bacterial infection, some pollutants, some sensitivity, some allergens, and so on and so forth. Basically what it means is that they have no idea what's happening or why the body does this, right? And I mean, when you talk about genetics, if every time you talk about genetics, there must be a gene that somebody has found that causes causes this condition called eczema, right? Because if not, why would it be genetic? And does it necessarily means that, for example, I mean, it's very common for people to say that, doctors to say that diabetes is genetic, and it's as if for no good reasons you suddenly have a failed pancreas even if you're eating a low carb diet, and that's why it's genetics, right? And then you have diabetes, but they fail to see that maybe your parents, your grandparents, and the whole family have just been eating high carb meals with sugars and processed food and all the stuff. So how can that be genetics? And in the first place, if you say that diabetes is genetic, it means you have to show that there is a gene that causes this defect. Of course, you have type 1 diabetes, but what we're talking about is type 2 diabetes, right? Metabolic diseases. Anyway, so eczema to me is an autoimmune condition, right? So basically, the body is just attacking the skin and causes a lot of rashes and outbreaks and redness, soreness, redness everywhere. So for me, the body attacks certain parts of my hand and my feet mostly, and I guess I'm quite lucky compared to a lot of other some of the YouTubers, or some of the, if you look up eczema and issues or causes and cures, you can see a lot of the eczema patients has it worse than me, because they have it like over their neck, their bodies, all over their face, and it makes it even more difficult for them to go out into the public due to the eczema. So for me, it's only around my hands, elbows, and my feet. So far I haven't, since young, I haven't have outbreaks all over my body, which I think I'm considered quite lucky for that. And being an autoimmune condition, it means that the body is attacking itself. So why would the body attack itself? Only when it will only attack itself is overly sensitive, or when there's foreign bodies in the blood, right? And so what I've discovered through the carnivore diet, by eliminating plants or plant sources of food like beans and nuts, green leafy vegetables especially, I managed to suppress or at least put my eczema into remission. This shows that for me, for my body, it could not process the chemicals that is absorbed from the plants. So if you listen to Sally Norton, I'll probably put a link there, talk about the toxicology of plants. You see that a lot of plants do have defense chemicals, and of course not everybody we all have different sensitivity to them, right? So for me, I'm too sensitive to some of them, and you have things like phytates, oxalates, what else do you have, lectins, and many other phytochemicals, right? These are all defense chemicals of the plant, and they are in different parts of the plants, right? I think the leaves are probably the parts where the plants doesn't want you to eat it too much, right? And so, and probably put a lot more toxic chemicals there to mostly, right, is to prevent insects from eating them, or to discourage insects from eating them. But of course, it does have impact on our own health, especially those who are not able to render it safe once we absorb it into the body. So for me, I guess my body is not able to render those chemicals safe once it gets absorbed into the body, and as such, the body try to expel it through the skin. And once you reach the skin, around the skin surface, the epidermis, or I'm not too sure which part, right? Because there are foreign intruders or foreign materials around that part, the body will launch an immunity attack on the skin, on that part, and that's what causes the outbreak. And that's how I understand it for myself. For other people, maybe it's slightly different, because like I said, I cannot say that this is what my condition or what I experience is the same as everybody else. So this is a bit like the Asian flush, where the body is not able to process too much of the alcohol coming in through the liver, and as a result, it has to flush the alcohol through your skin, and that's why some of us develop this redness and and the heatiness, hot, feeling hot around the ears and also the face, right? When some of us drink alcohol, that's because the alcohol by itself is toxic to the body. The moment it hits the system, it goes into the liver. The liver must detoxify it, break it down to other compounds like fructose and stuff like that. If it couldn't do so, you will have to get it out of the system, and the fastest way to do it is through the skin, right? So I think it's the same mechanism of action here regarding the chemicals coming in, the natural chemicals coming in from the vegetables that I ate, and that went through the guts into the bloodstream. And so like I said, my eczema started since I was young, and I remember when I was, I think 6, 7, 8, I'm not too sure what's my age like at that point in time, the toes area would be so much inflamed that I have pus coming out, and I remember I had to take an injection with the doctor to reduce that inflammation. I believe those maybe are steroid injections, I'm not too sure. But over the years, I've seen many and countless Chinese doctors, Western doctors seek has advice from everybody else, things to soak. There are various different herbal soaks, chemical soaks that for soaking my feet and soaking my hands, to help with the eczema, evening prime rolls and things like that, putting on my hands. I don't know, I think it includes coconut oil, I'm not too sure which ones, but there's so many advice, but none of them actually really worked. None of them works, right? Actually, and interestingly enough, one point in time I had an outbreak on my feet, and I went to see a doctor, and she misdiagnosed me with fungal infection. She gave me a fungal medicine, and it made it worse. It didn't cure it. So I'm very sure that I don't have fungal infection. Whatever I've been having since young is not a fungal infection. It's definitely eczema, right? And so, like I said, since young, I have it, and as I grow older, I don't really remember how I say. I don't remember the episodes of eczema, but I remember since young I have this constant itch and scratching my skin, and they're always breaking. But I think when I was younger, it wasn't as bad. I'm quite surprised, right? It wasn't as bad. It's there, but it didn't have this constant bleeding and all those stuff. But once I finished through the army, and I started working, and that's when I seems to have more and more. It seems to get worse, okay, and to a stage where, when I think it's to a stage where about 5-6 years after I started working, because by then I had to use a lot more keyboard and mouse and stuff like that, and more desk bound. I had to constantly moisturize my hand and wear gloves, you know, and yeah, in order to prevent my hands from feeling the pain, really, because it was constantly being cut open and constantly peeling and bleeding. So it was quite bad. And come to think of it, I can understand why. Again, I guess as I grow older, I was always health conscious. And guess what? For somebody who's health conscious, right? They're always advised to eat more vegetables. And honestly speaking, I love vegetables and I ate a lot of them, right? Including the meat on top of it. But I guess I always try to follow the advice, and I really didn't eat a lot of fatty meat and all those stuff. Maybe sometimes and all that, right? Most of the time I'll try to have a lot more vegetables. And I think maybe that is why as I grew older, it became worse. Yeah. And so the eczema sort of continued on all the way through my 40s, until I started low carb on 2018. No, it's not until, it was still continuing, right? 2018, and then at the end of 2019, that I remember that the point in time where I said I will switch to carnivore now today. I can remember that I have a lot of scars on my hand at that point in time, despite going on low carb for 1 year. I was still peeling my skin and was still itchy. So, but almost 1 week after I went off vegetables and ate only meat, that totally stopped. My legs stopped itching, my hands stopped itching, and I can see for the first time the hands are actually healing. Now, for some of us who have for my particular eczema, is that what happens first of all is that there will be little bubbles forming underneath the skin, little very very tiny bubbles, and it'll be all over the parts where the eczema will be forming, or the eczema will be showing itself. And after that, if at the same time it's very itchy at the point in time, but you really feel like poking every single little bubble inside the skin, you know. But I know to avoid to do that, but it's very itchy, and subsequently over time it will form a hard skin on top of that bubbles, right, as the bodies try to heal. And then after that, once it heals, the skin will start to dry up and peel and slowly drop off, or you can see cracks opening, and which you can start peeling them off and things like that. And almost immediately, once that skin has healed, a fresh layer, you can see a new layer of bubbles forming. So it's just this continuous just continuous non-stop renewal of skin for that man, if that's the word for it, if it's renewal, or rejection of skin, right? And the worst of all is that a lot of times it is very very itchy, and sometimes, you know, as the dead skins are forming, it'll crack open, and then it'll be just lashes on the skin, and it's very very painful when this cracks open when it's raw, before it's fully healed, you know. And sometimes it's because the hard skin feels like somebody has put some scotch tape on you. You really, unconsciously, you just want to take it off. You just want to peel it off, which is why and then sometimes it's when you peel it off, you accidentally peel off the raw skin which has not healed, and it start bleeding again. So that's why you can see a lot of bleeding, a lot of scratching for somebody who has eczema, because it's actually very difficult to control it. Even at night, you will be unconsciously scratching, trying to dig out the skin or one of those things. And that's why also from young, my friends has always is always disgusted with me like peeling off dead skin from my foot all the time when when we go on holidays and stuff like that, right? So there was a point in time where actually my left feet is actually quite bad. It's always constantly having this problem, and it's always scarring and bleeding. That like in a Singapore context, we tend to wear slippers out, right? Exposing with an exposed feet because of weather is hot. But because of this condition, it's actually quite embarrassing to wear slippers out. I actually changed to closed shoes, and at the same time, because there are always cuts and lesions on it, scars and cuts and bleeding, right? I don't want to have the chance of getting an infection due to an open shoe. Yeah. And that's the things I have to do, yeah, to change. And for the hands is, well, it's good thing is mostly on my palms. It's not on my back of my hand, so it's not too noticeable to people. But sometimes if people want to shake your hands or whatever, and it's and it's bleeding or whatever, it's a bit embarrassing, to tell the truth, yeah. Now, do I think that eating carnivore actually helped resolve that issue for me? Personally, I don't think so. It is not the eating of meat, but rather the avoidance of the vegetables, right? Of course, eating of the meat and the fats and everything else has its own benefits, but that wasn't the one that resolved or bring the eczema into remission. Is really the avoidance, right? The elimination of the vegetables, the green leafy plants, the nuts and seeds and beans. So, and also actually about 3 months or 4 months near the end of my low carb phase, I actually started to watch videos about fiber from like Zoe Harcom, Dr. Paul Mason, right? And also I started to listen to Sally Norton regarding oxalate dumping, oxalate issues. And so I do have a good understanding of the toxicology or the toxic portion of the plants, right? And so actually around the 4 months to 3 months mark near the end, I actually started to I stopped eating salads altogether, right? All my vegetables are cooked, and I try to cook them to death before I eat them, right? And so over the time I started to reduce my amount of vegetables I have to cook, until, of course, yeah, which is why it's easy for me to switch from low carb keto to carnivore, because by the end of it I'm almost not eating vegetable anymore. So I think that may help with my transition period, right? I'm not too sure. So this is only an N+1, and I can't revert back. I can't revert to the origin condition and try another experiment, which I don't want to. So now I have been eating carnivore for past 6 years, and I'm not eating too much vegetables and stuff like that. I do find that my sensitivity has reduced. I mean, as in, I'm not so sensitive to some of those vegetables that I used to be sensitive to, and I can afford to eat some of it, but not too much, right? Without causing an outbreak. It doesn't mean that I must eat it. I'm just saying sometimes I'm greedy, you go out with friends, I just want to try 1 or 2 pieces of vegetables. I'm actually have no interest in vegetables anymore, right? And along the way, throughout the 6 years, I did have some experiments here and there to test out, if what I can tolerate, what I can't, and it's quite tiring, because every time I tried it, and then I get a new eczema development, and then it'll take me like 3 to 4 weeks for it to recover. But during the time, it's actually very uncomfortable. You know, you're scratching, you're peeling again and all those stuff. So I really, I just don't need to give. I just don't need to try out and see what food I can eat or not eat, or what food I can tolerate or not tolerate, right? Because I don't think I need to do that, and for me personally, just eating the meat and stuff like that is okay for me. Of course, I do have I do know of some of the things that doesn't really cause me any problems, right? Like garlic and onions. A lot of the root vegetables, I don't have these problems. So my problem are with the things from the top, the leafy greens and all those stuff, right? But and ginger, I didn't think anyway I don't. So the thing is, with all these spices or this stuff, is that you don't eat too much of it. There is some spices in the five spices, the wuxiang, that I seem to have some reaction to. I'm not too sure which spice is that, because there's five of them, right? And so I try to avoid them totally. So curry spices seems to have no much problems for me. I've taken laksa before, and I didn't have any major outbreaks from just one bowl of it. So that was pretty okay. Normal chicken curry, yeah. But most of the time, these two are not very heavily spiced. The more heavily spiced one would be probably the Malay curries or Indian curries. Thai curries, the green ones, I try to avoid because they use fresh herbs on it, and I know that I do have problems with that. And so I do have some leeways to enjoy food the way I like it. I mean, in general, things like soy sauce, fermented products, which is, I'm quite happy with it. Fermented products like kimchi, sauerkrauts, things like that has I haven't seen any impact from eating, because I eat, when you buy kimchi, it's in a big box and I eat it every day, and I haven't seen any outbreaks of it because I'm eating kimchi. So it's a good thing that I don't have a problem with anything that's fermented. So it's a vegetable that's super dead, right? And the bacteria have broken down some of the stuff and make it even more nutritious and easier to digest without all the harmful chemicals. But there are still some, of course. But I guess also kimchi is made from more green white cabbages, and not the super. There is green leafy kimchi. Maybe I should not try that. Sauerkraut again is made from cabbages, so I didn't have problems with that. Yeah, and so I not missing too much on life, because I can still have some minor soy sauce, fish sauce, and things like that to flavor my meat, or to make my own meals, right? Just that. And even if I'm eating eating outside, I just avoid. I don't order vegetables anyway. I only order eggs, meat, chicken, pork, fish, and stuff like that. So one thing that Sally Norton has also mentioned is that a lot of times when the body is constantly overwhelmed with inflammation, it will not simply just release all the toxin out and get rid of it, because that will be overwhelming response. So a lot of times they will store the toxins in the fat and adipose tissue, and only when the body is more mellowed or whatever, then you start slowly releasing some of the toxin out to get rid of it. And that's part and parcel of the healing process. So for some people, they may see a period of time where you may have on and off outbreaks of eczema, but I think that is normal. I can't tell you how much or when, but because it all depends on the cycle of your own body, right? And you must remember, if for example, right, vegetables, for me, green leafy plants, I've been eating it since young, right? I ate even more of it, because there was a phase I was vegetarian. and from like my early teens and all those stuff, right? And so you must know how much is being accumulated in the body for 40 over years to 50 over years, and you can't expect the body to suddenly release all that stuff. You're going to have a lot of pain and a lot of problems. And so is it possible that for some people, including me, because I do have over the 6 years, I do have episodes in which the body, I will suddenly have outbreaks of eczema for no reasons, okay, even though I'm not really eating anything out of the ordinary. And but then once the outbreak was over, it healed, and then it just went back to normal. And so do not expect instant miracle, just like weight loss, right? Do not expect sudden weight loss and then you're looking hunky and beach bored and I don't know, and or hit your BMI that you want, things like that. It takes years for you to gain those weight. It's gonna take you should allow your body to slowly heal and in order to get back to where you are. It's the same with eczema. It's the same with oxalates, that if you are overeating oxalates, you really don't want the body to suddenly dump all the oxalate out. It's going to be a terrible experience from what I heard. Okay, I don't have that experience yet, so I don't know. And so this is my eczema journey for the last 6 years till now. And yeah, I hope that by sharing my story, you can think out of the box about the problems you have, and yeah, do your own research. And hopefully, if you have problems with eczema and you want to resolve those issues, you can do your own research and try to understand how or what may be helpful for you. So anyway, thank you for listening. Signing out.